Welcome to In Focus Out of Touch, a video production podcast about all things making videos and being paid to make them. My name is Nick Kelly. Joining me across the desk today is Sean Smith.
Hello.
This is a weekly podcast. We talk all things video, like I said, and this week it's just back to Sean and I. Sorry about that, but we thought we'd make it a little bit interesting. We got a few of you to submit some of your horror stories. Now, Sean and I probably have a few ourselves anyway.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? It's great to actually kind of reflect back, especially when you're starting or you just make dumb mistakes that you learn from. That's the only way you can get better, right? So thank you to those who submitted. Let's get into this week's episode of In Focus Out of Touch. Hello.
Hello.
I'm across from you.
Oh, this is a bit weird because we're normally sitting next to one another in this setting, in this scenario.
I feel like this is Where's the president's daughter?
Especially if you're a keen cinematographer, like some of you are, you could notice our lighting's a little bit different today.
Yeah, it could be better or shitter.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
I mean, originally when I was setting up, it was pretty similar to what you'd call Godfather lighting, top-down lighting and bags under your eyes. But I think we found a nice middle ground.
Just thought I'd give the old China ball a go.
Yeah.
That's, of course, for those watching on the YouTube channel. For those listening, let me just describe that we both look great.
Yes.
You know, I'm sure those on the YouTube channel will agree. Click the like button if you agree.
All this soft lighting is covering my ugly face.
That's how I get away with everything. That's how I take selfies now.
Yeah?
I literally
Did you get the China ball out?
I did it. I was on a Facebook Live the other day, and I literally had that China ball because I was like, I want to look good, and it made me look great. So
Gotta love China balls.
Yeah. So how you been?
I've been great. Finished all my editing really early this week, so I've sort of been pottering around the tail end of this week, just finding things of how I can be productive. Yeah. Now that I have an office, I sort of feel like I have to be productive.
You can't just kick back and twiddle your thumbs.
I can't just
like
play
me.
video games at home in the corner of my bedroom anymore. It's just like there's people that are expecting me to be here. Not that I work for them. It's just the people I work with.
You're afraid of being judged.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the peer pressure is forcing me to be productive.
To be a productive member of society. That's actually a pretty good thing.
Yeah. So I've been working on the business later this week, which has been good.
That's cool.
Going to do some little marketing pieces and push the stop motion production a little bit further because I think that's been working. And it's a good feeling. It's
awesome, man.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, I don't think I've worked on the business for a long, long time. I've just been, I'm in the kind of the midst of 2 weeks of just pretty much solid editing because last week I was filming all over the place.
Yeah,
filmed
you had a hectic
three jobs last week.
Yeah.
3 days in a row. What I loved about that is I love you pack all your gear for one job, and if they're all the same and you're pretty much using the same kind of gear, I just left the car full. After each shoot, I brought in batteries and media to offload. And then the next morning I was like, oh man, I can stay in bed just an extra 20 minutes.
Yeah, just take in the batteries and your cards.
Yeah. And so the third day, I was like, this feels really weird. I haven't packed anything properly for a few days now, but that was awesome. Yeah. So very efficient.
Yeah, it must take you've got a lot of stuff. I've seen your stuff and you fit it into a small space.
Yeah. Everything has its space. I have a little 5-door hatch. Look, I think now, especially because I'm trying to, even on simple talking heads. So all 3 of the jobs last week, I think, they were sit down talking heads. Right. There wasn't even B-roll. I don't think on any of the jobs.
So you get to really perfect your image.
So because of that, I was like, well, I'm not. Genuinely, I'm not one to faff around too much on just what is going to be a talking head because this, I guess with B-roll, it's going to be covered up anyway. But these weren't going to be used for B-roll, like I said. But you still you got a key light if you need it, a little bit of fill, a backlight. That's generally your lighting setup, right? So one thing I'm just trying to be a little bit mindful of is at least do something just for me, even on those boring or more straightforward
put some
gigs.
Fairy lights in the background there.
I did not. I didn't do anything of that nature. But I had a few more lights with me than usual. So yeah, the car was packed to the gills, and it was really cool. And actually, two of the shoots we shot in interesting locations, that makes like a massive difference. And so it was really cool to like walk around and say, oh, look, there's a practical, we'll use that in the scene, and then I'll motivate off of that and bounce that into a bar over there. And so actually it felt like I was creating an image more than just like, here's the space we've booked, here's a room we've booked for you,
You've
sit
got
down.
an hour in this space. Quick, do something good.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, it's good when you can breathe and have time to think about your mise en scène. Or going back to high school.
A little filmmaking vernacular.
If you have yellow in your film, that means your character is cunning.
Then all of my talking heads were very cunning. Last week. So it was just shooting, but no, I lied. I also had a warehouse shoot as well with a lot of B-roll. So last week. So it's just been editing. A lot of like some of those shoots, the interviews went way too long. Do you ever find that where I didn't actually do the interviewing, so I was just shooting and editing, and there was the director on both.
Don't you dread editing someone else's directed?
Yeah, and the client for one of the shoots was also on site. And it was like their video. It was like testimonial videos basically. And so the director and I would go through and ask questions, and he was pretty quick at work. And I was like, oh, this dude knows how to get interview for the edit, you know?
Nice.
So I was like, okay, great. And then the client went, I think we can just expand. And then like 45 minutes later, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is shot on 4K Blackmagic and also like in ProRes on another camera as well. I'm thinking, Jesus.
I can see you standing there monitoring your camera, just dying inside, looking at that minute clock tick up to 45 minutes.
Is it bad when you do that? Sometimes I look around, but then you look around like that. So we had the makeup artist on set, we had a sound recordist, and also production manager. And I'd look around and everyone else would be on their phones. It's okay. It's okay if every now and then I look at the clock.
Yeah, sometimes you're in an interview and you're just like one cog in the wheel and there's a bunch of other people. You just look around, it's like, can someone please make this stop? We've got the content.
Fake a fire alarm.
But yeah, no, when I edit interviews, generally if it is a long one, they have a lot to say. There's a few key moments I'll remember on the day, like roughly half an hour he said this good 10-second thing, or like, and I'll just really pick out.
I think it's a great idea. I can never remember though until I get back in the edit, so I still have to go through everything, and like I wish there was a way, and there probably is, and I'm just dumb. I wish there's a way that in the camera you could go like, I guess in the metadata when you shoot on like Blackmagic or some other cameras that can take metadata, you can kind of mark it as a good take. But if it's an interview, you can't just say, oh, that's I want to remember that bit.
It would be good if you could press a button like a marker or something.
Well, you can on like an audio recorder, but like now I'm moving away from dual sync sound, and I just generally like record straight into camera.
Yep.
Because it's so much easier, and I've lost the ability to do that. Not that I ever used it anyway. But anyway, so that's kind of just been my week, is just editing a fuck ton of footage.
Well, I'm hoping your week was void of mistakes and you did everything perfectly, because we all do everything perfectly, right?
Great segue.
Which brings me
to
the topic of our episode today, which is stuff-ups in your productions. So Nick and I asked some of you to send in, what you've got. What have you done in your past that you regret?
So like you and I have spoken about this a little bit before.
Yes, yeah.
Especially when we're talking about some of the shoots we've been on, and then it just naturally leads into like some of the times or like, oh, I remember when kind of things. Yeah. And I was I don't know what came about, but I was talking to a mate and I started remembering a shoot last year. So maybe we kick off like, I don't mind sharing my mess ups, because like generally speaking, I've made a dumb mistake or
as long as you learn from the mistakes,
exactly.
It's fine.
Sometimes I don't, I'll be honest, but I'm getting there. So this one just happened last year, and thankfully, like you do get experience enough where like if something happens during a shoot, you go, okay, stop. We need to fix this thing. But I remember last year, and I can't remember specifically why, but I was just very stressed or running around on a shoot prepping. It was just me solo shooting. It was a talking head again, an interview. And this is when I was doing dual sync sound. So I had two cameras going. trying to make sure they're all set up, trying to monitor 2 cameras as one person can be a bit of a pain, even if it's just on a tripod.
Yeah.
And then trying to set up an audio recorder, cameras rolling, monitoring my little Zoom with the 2 red lights on the old mic input.
Yes. Yep.
And then about halfway through a 40-minute interview, I realized that I hadn't pressed the red record button, so there was no continuous red button. And this was last year, man.
Oh my god!
And I can't remember what was. I tired? Was I just stressed? Was I rushing? I don't know. I don't know. But it was halfway through. Now, of course, I'm experienced enough to own and up to that at the time.
Yeah.
They weren't the happiest.
Oh, really? So how did you break the news? Like, whoa, stop, guys.
Okay, so
walk me through this.
I didn't own up 100% to what the fact that, oh, sorry guys, I forgot to press record.
Yeah.
What I did is I said, a couple of things have happened. So I basically let them get to the end of their questions. They're like, okay, that was great. And I was like, whoa. We generally like to get things, I like prefaced it. I said, we like to get things for safety. You know, it's always good to have a couple of options in the interview. And they're like, yeah, I guess. And I said, look, a couple of things happened. I lost power. I said I lost power to the mic. So I just have to fix that. And then also there was static in some of the answers I got. And so they were just a bit frustrated that they'd have to answer the questions again. Not overly. Like, I'm not saying like they were like, get out, you amateur. But like I just left think and we got like what we needed, but I left thinking like, that was silly. That was what went wrong there. Anyway, like I don't mind admitting to that stuff because shit goes wrong sometimes. I wanted to preface like whatever we talk about with a story from me because we're not perfect, like you said. So let's get into
very interesting
some submitted stories.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first? Do you want to go first, or do I go first?
I'll have a crack at one. So I'm just gonna make up names for everyone who's sent in things.
Sounds good.
So this is Mark. He sent in a little thing from back in film school days. So he hasn't been to film school for a couple years now. So he says, I made the mistake of not establishing clear boundaries of roles. He was the director. So you get actors or sound people contributing creative stuff, which burns so much time. So they're not doing what their designated job is.
Right.
So
everyone's doing kind of everything or nothing.
Yeah, everyone's mucking in. The soundies sort of commenting on the frame. The caterer is checking on the sound guy. Like, how does that sound?
Oh my god, I remember those shoots actually.
Yeah,
I do remember those shoots. Like as a student as well. Like where you could. Like everyone kind of thinks like they have this extra skill set that isn't being utilized. And in some instances, like fair enough, but
everyone wants to be the director. Everyone wants to be the cinematographer.
Yeah. I wonder if that still happens on like some lower end. Because like I'm getting back into just filmmaking on the side and just as a hobby and stuff like that. And so that, we're going to be shooting stuff with crew where everyone's just lumping in their time and stuff like that. So everyone has like a skill set or wanting to get involved in filmmaking. I wonder if that still happens on that lower, no budget end.
Yeah, what about even the higher end? I'm sure it doesn't happen too much on the higher end because those people realize you step on the wrong person's toes, you don't work next month.
Yeah, they probably realize there's such a thing as set etiquette.
If you treat it much like a corporate job in an office, like you don't want to be stepping on the toes of your peers because that could go downhill real fast.
Yeah. I think that I think I probably did that at some point.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm like a dictator sometimes.
Yeah.
When it comes to shoots.
Well, have you heard of the term that director is the last okay form of dictatorship?
No, but I'm happy to be validated. So that's great.
So he finishes it off. I asked him. So as the director, what would you have done differently?
Oh, good question.
So he says, you worry about looking like a Nazi. Unfortunately, in life, you sometimes have to be the tough guy. I think good productions come from the director actually directing, as the name says. He isn't called a pleaser. It's true.
That is true.
It's very wise words.
Hey, look, wise words and a wise lesson from an experience there. Well, I've got just a simple one to kick off on my end as well.
Mm-hmm.
But something similar happened to me. So as soon as this person wrote this, I was like, man, I've been there. So I'll call this person Stefan.
Yep.
Stefan writes, first time I did a shoot with a cinema camera, I had a 4-stop ND on and couldn't for the life of me figure out why it was so dark. I just blasted every light at 100%.
That's amazing.
Stefan, I feel you, mate, because so you know, like when you go from mirrorless where all your filtrations like just screwed on the front.
Yep.
And then a cinema camera that has built-in ND. I remember a couple of years ago going down to a shoot in Sydney, and I rented, like, maybe it wasn't even a couple of years, the Panasonic EVA 1 or EVA 1, but that was very first announced. I'd used cinema cameras before sporadically, if I'm honest, like not a huge amount. And I went down, and the same thing happened. I couldn't understand why. And it was only 2 stops, but like I couldn't understand why it was like. I feel like I should have more light coming into the camera here based on like how I used to shoot. I'm not doing anything different. Yeah, so I feel that.
You did the same thing. Well, when you're mucking around and using a new camera that you aren't totally used to, like it happens.
What about though, like, so like using a new camera? It kind of goes to show you do need the time to understand it before the shoot, because like that's something I've never really done before. It's gone like, oh yeah, I need camera prep time in my quote or anything like that. Yeah. So you go, oh yeah, we've got a shoot on. All right, I'll pick it up on the afternoon before the shoot. Oh, then I've got to pack all the gear.
I was only a couple of weeks ago. A client asked me to hire a Red Scarlet for a shoot.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, I just bought the Blackmagic 6K. Are you sure? Like it probably actually shoots comparable or maybe even better than the Scarlet's, being a 5 or 6-year-old camera now. I'm like, and it's in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get this camera. I'm not going to know how to use it. We're spending $600 a day to hire this damn thing. I just used my camera. Yeah. Did you get a rental item for that? No.
Mate.
No.
It's a cinema camera.
Yeah. So yeah, like using new gear, it can be a bit crazy.
Well, yeah,
sometimes.
that's fair enough. Yeah.
So ND is an interesting one. Like, here's a fun question: what's the longest you've left a lens cap on before you figured out
that there's a lens cap on, and you don't know why it's so dark?
You're like, what is going on?
Honestly, it's every other shoot. No, I'll tell you where I do it. It's the run and gun, like event stuff. I don't do too much of that these days, but I did an event video a few weeks ago at the Brisbane racecourse thing, whatever those races were, and that happened to me. I was like, something is happening, so I was like, shit, all right, grab my gear, camera on a monopod. I just shot my mirrorless cameras, and and what's embarrassing is when you're trying to get a shot of someone and that's when you realize the lens cap is on.
Yeah, they can see it says Canon on the front.
So they watch you, and that smirk of like, you idiot, comes across their face as you shyly just remove the
thing that
lens
gets me for Sony is, if you like cover up the eyepiece, if you got the right setting on, it makes your screen turn black. So sometimes you might think that's happening, or that the camera's turned off, or like something. I'm not proud, but I've left it on a little bit too long than that it's taken me to realize.
So ND, that's a funny one.
Yes.
I feel that.
Yeah. I'll share one of mine.
Okay.
One shoot, it was a full day of talking heads at an office in Brisbane. The client nicely offered to pick me up, which was great.
Awesome.
I thought, awesome, just go into the city, get to the shoot, go up the elevator, get into the office. I've forgotten my lights.
No.
And it's like, if you looked at me for like 2 minutes, I'm just like, there's that meme of that woman trying to do maths on like the board. She's like trying to. It was like that meme.
Brilliant.
And I was like, okay, we've got a situation. I've forgotten my lights, but
if we combine our iPhones and put the flashlight on the strongest setting, we'll be fine.
But if we sit them next to this window, and use that light over there as a hair light. Will be sweet.
So you owned up to the fact that you left your lights?
And, I thought on my feet and it looked all right.
There you go. There you go.
The light changed a little bit as the day progressed. But there was still light coming through the window.
Oh, that's good.
So I saved it.
Leaving gear, that's a big one for me.
Yeah,
like,
it's a big one.
It's often not like big pieces of gear. It's like light modifiers or especially a camera attachment points. Like I have said this in the past where I was hired specifically to run a gimbal down at Byron Bay for a real estate thing.
Yeah.
So it was a main shooter. My only job, because they didn't have a gimbal, was to run a camera on a gimbal. Brought the gimbal, fully charged, ready to go. I didn't have my attachment
base plate.
Oh, and at that stage on the Ronin M, I think it wasn't like a simple Manfrotto interchangeable one. It was a specific size.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed. Oh, he was great. He was great about it though. Like he just made a bit of a joke about it.
Gaff tape it on.
Gaff tape it on.
Nice.
The shots though they were woeful. Like because you couldn't really like get 100% perfect balance because then like the gaff tape would shift a little bit and the motors would then like start freaking out. But oh man, this discussion is like bringing everything back now. But I did have another submission, which I think is just fantastic to talk about. Okay, Fred says, I guess you could call this subject waiting to hear from them. Is the subject line I'm calling this one. Now, on that note, if you are brave enough, if you're keen to share your fails on set with clients, because hopefully you're understanding by now, we've all been through it. Short and I constantly.
Yeah, a bit more than most.
Why don't we take that as a sign? Anyway, please give us a write-in, infocusoutoftouch@gmail.com. All submissions are going to be treated anonymously. You can change details if you need. But we think other people might get not just a chuckle out of it, but a bit of a lesson as well. A little lesson of life.
Lesson of life. Wow.
Yeah.
We're giving life lessons as well as cinematography lessons.
That's why you should subscribe and give us a rating and review on iTunes. Anyway, okay. I have a good story about a last-minute call-up from an old friend of my old boss at the time. Last-minute jobs, firstly, can be definitely a flag. Yep. Definitely red flag. Not all the time, but asked me if I was available in 24 hours' time to do a shoot for a small cabinet-making company, which a photographer pulled out of. So this is actually a photographer.
Okay.
But I think
Still
it applies. Yeah. They said they had a budget of $800 to $1,000, and for me at the time that was amazing. Still studying in uni.
Pretty good budget.
Turned out to be a monster company. Professional videographer was hired. His fee was $3,000 plus. That definitely sounds accurate.
Right.
Models hired. Fake kitchen made for the install, and the type of photos they wanted were all locked off, same position, different fitting type of photos. So locked off on a tripod. Exactly the same framing.
Get your settings, press a button.
Yeah, and then like interchangeable, always the same angle.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Right.
So that's
honestly $1,000 sounds pretty good
on a shoot. Look, if you're not that experienced, fair enough. But on a shoot where they've built a set and hired talent,
if it is a big shoot,
So, and they've said their budget is $800 to $1,000. Okay. So started at 8 a.m. on the day. Rocked up without a tripod because I didn't think I needed one from the basic brief I got, which is just come along, take a few shots of our small cabinet company. So I called a mate to bring me one. Good thinking on your feet, actually.
Yeah.
It was cheap and nasty and constantly moved. Ouch. And we didn't wrap the shoot until 11 p.m.
Oh my God. 8 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah.
So was it actually cabinets or was it?
It was cabinets. It was obviously all products and anyway. So
oh my God.
That is a painful shoot. So let's call that $800 to $1,000 for.
That's an $800 lesson. but you got paid for it. So
about $8 an hour. From that day on, I've never gone into a project without a verbal phone call and stalking the business to find out who they are.
that seems fair. That's the bare minimum.
Yeah,
I
but
think.
if you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So I can see making that mistake as well, starting out. So he wraps up. I spent weeks. That's right, weeks editing the photos to make them consistent and usable because I didn't have what I needed to do it properly in camera.
Yep.
My Photoshop skills majorly leveled up after that job, and I've never heard from that company again.
Oh, what a great story.
Ouch.
Well, he fixed his mistake.
Yeah.
You can fix it in post, even though you're getting paid $8 an hour at the end of the day.
Great submission. Thank you for that. That was great.
Got one here from Rob, we'll call him. And this is a simple one. He left his SD cards safely at home on an all-day shoot.
Oh, man. I have done this, and I've done it more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done this once. It was a few years ago. I was shooting a music video. It was a public holiday, so everyone was available. I'll pack up the car, drive 40 minutes to the location. Cool, sweet, park. Go to my camera bag, look in my camera. There's no cards in there.
Oh, God.
It's a public holiday. I can't go to JB.
See, that's painful. That's painful. The worst is when you're in a remote location as well, and there is no JB Hi-Fi or JCar or
the
anywhere
only
where
solution
you can buy SD cards.
was say, hey guys, I'll be back in an hour and a half. Came back.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was
full day shoot or
it was full day shoot.
Yeah,
it was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
like it wasn't like it was more of a favor type thing.
You know what? I don't want to shoot a video right now. I think I'm going to want to shoot it in an hour and a half. Excuse me.
You have to wait.
Yeah.
But I love his solution to this.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh damn, that's a good one. What did you do? iPhone is always a solid backup. Managed to shoot most of the morning with it using 1080p slow motion. Ran to the shops and shot the rest on the day on the A7.
Good effort. Good.
Yeah.
Good problem solving.
Yeah.
I don't think there'd be many who would
have the
be
guts
brave enough to go, yeah, this is my video camera. What of it?
Or if you're like,
sorry, there's a phone call coming in right now. Yeah, now we can shoot on it.
What if you just pretend like, so you're holding your phone up? It's like, this is my camera, you guys. And they're like, why are you also holding your phone up? Oh, Instagram story.
You strap it onto the camera rig.
That's right.
Yeah, I like
Life
it.
hack.
There you go. So I don't need to film on my Blackmagic anymore.
No, you just...
Man, I love it. I love the tenacity of just like giving it a go.
I mean,
and filming on...
If that's all you can get. And
Absolutely.
it's happening right now. Like, what else do you do?
Yeah.
Okay, my phone.
You just got to own it, man. The number of times
honestly,
I've done that,
you probably wouldn't notice the difference between an A7 and that.
Well, when you're outside...
Slow motion.
Exactly. When you're outside...
Yeah, your phone's already shooting at F10 or whatever it turns to. And then
Yeah. Oh man, that's a shocker though. So the number of times I've done that, and I still haven't learned because like I have a black camera case, and I open it up, and I'm forever going like, where is that thing? Because I put my card pouch, which is also black, in a different part every single bloody time. Yeah, and so I'm never learning. So
have you ever like freaked out? Like you get home, you don't know where all your cards are to offload?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
All the time.
Or like I've gone to a shoot like the next day from a previous shoot and put cards in camera, and then you have that thought going like, shit, did I actually get all of this footage? Did I? Because I've just like gone copy all, blah, 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 and haven't like spent the time to verify. And that thought of like, oh my God. And so there was once, this is all flooding back now. There was once, and I was doing a little shoot just for a mate who was launching a business. She was putting on some kind of launch event, but she did it on a semi-regular basis. It wasn't just one-off. But I do remember I went to, she had this in like, I think it was over at, in the Gabba cricket ground in Brisbane, in Wollongabba. And she'd hide this space out and had like these vendors come and give gifts and whatever for her business was for. I can't really remember. And she was like, oh, I'd really appreciate just a little highlight vid. And at the time, I just started out on my own. So I was like, yeah, no worries, I'll do it. And or I think even before that, I was thinking about going out on my own. And so I was like, I got time, so I did it. I never got all the footage off of one of the SD cards.
Oh, no.
And I didn't even realize until I went a few weeks later to edit that little highlight clip for her, so you could just use that on social. I was like, for an hour, going like, what folder did I put those shots in? Yeah. Like, they're not there. Where is it? And then I was like, oh shit, hang on.
Gremlins in your computer.
Like a Muppet, I've like just gone, oh yeah, I would have backed that up.
Yeah.
And formatted that card and just got on with my day.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, I've made a habit of, like, it's always on at least in 2 places at once, 2 hard drives. I'll upload it that night, if not first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Even on like a super long shoot, I think you have to do it.
You have to.
Otherwise, like, there's just such danger, especially if you've got like shoots.
What if the cards explode overnight?
Yeah.
As they do.
Yeah. Or your house gets stolen.
True. If your entire house gets stolen.
And you've got no backups.
That person's lost their wedding forever.
Yeah. Man.
Yep.
Painful. But
super painful.
I love talking about this stuff because you can own up to it and brush it off now because you do learn from it anyway. So I hope that's the lesson. I don't know. Did you find this interesting?
Yeah. Was this good? Was this useful?
Hope you did, because we'd love you to keep submitting your stories. infocusoutoftouch@gmail.com. Anonymous will make up great names for you. You, of course, can make up your own name and sign off.
The sillier the name, the more likely you're going to get on the show.
Some great submissions there. Any other submissions you want to go through?
We can leave
them next time.
Or I've got a couple. I'll leave for next time. I think this has been a good, succinct, concise episode.
Nice, man.
But please send through your submissions. We're going to make this a regular thing. It's going to be a segment, I think, when we do a 2-person.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the idea of we've got a lot more guests coming up, which is great. But definitely, I think when Sean and I catch up, we're going to be talking about the fails.
The fails. Well, if you can join us on our fail journey. I'm at SRS Video. See my fails. If you want to see Nick's fails, I am a film dude on Instagram.
Yeah.
See his fails.
Just come and follow me around and see literally how much I get wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for listening to In Focus Out of Touch. My name's Sean. This is Nick.
Yo.
We try to do this every week, so we'll see you next time on In Focus Out of Touch.
Bye.
Bye. I think that was the ending. See ya.